Today on Locked On Rockies, the Rockies add to the pitching staff through the Rule 5, add to the front office, and a bullpen arm heads to the starting rotation. Lots of Rockies headlines. Let's dive in.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 11th day of December in the year 2025. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, you're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day. Free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about the Rockies and their Rule 5 draft selections. We'll also talk about the Rockies adding another name to the front office. And Jimmy Herget, is he going to go and pitch in the starting rotation? And maybe a little bit of trade rumors around the Colorado Rockies. All that and more on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. And before we go any further, I want to let you know that I am Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk, as I have for over 5 seasons now, and been going on this journey with you all, the Rockies fandom journey, my entire life. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Okay. So the one of the big headlines here for the Colorado Rockies is the Rockies getting R.J. Petit from the Tigers organization. And I was going back and scrubbing through. It's actually, I don't think this was a name we covered in our Rule 5 preview when we were talking there to Blake Street Banner about the Rule 5 draft. But I like some of the stuff that we're seeing from the profile here for Petit. And one of the things that you'll immediately notice about this guy is he's huge. He is massive, and this is actually what Walker Momfort had to say about him. Gigantic force on the mound. He's a very, very safe bet to stick with the team throughout the season, based off the reports and the discussions that we've had about him. Momfort said he's a monster, and there's still a little bit of an arrow pointing upwards. He's 6'8" and running anywhere from 280 to 300 pounds, folks. We're talking about NFL-sized guy running, about to step up into the mound and start throwing some gas, throwing some heat, start doing some, hopefully doing some damage for the Colorado Rockies. That is an imposing force on the mound here. And here's a little bit more about him here from Thomas Harding, writing about the in the recap here, the new Rockies brain trust ready to begin overhaul after winter meetings. Petit works down in the zone with a low 90s sinking fastball, can run his four-seam fastball up to 98, and has a gyro movement slider that could be his best pitch. Petit, who enters the MLB pipeline rankings as the Rockies' number 26 prospect, benefited from working with Rebus as he climbed from a 14th-round pick from Charleston Southern in 2021 to the edge of the majors in a pitching-rich Tigers organization. Rockies pro scouting director Sterling Momfort, it was Sterling Momfort. Not Walker Momfort there, Sterling Momfort, making those comments there. Hey, I mean, this is an interesting option. I kind of like, this is a move. And I think the important thing is we've talked a lot about the Rule 5 draft. I think we kind of, I hyped it up maybe a little bit because, first overall pick, you got a total cream of the crop here. The Rule 5 draft hasn't necessarily panned out for the Rockies in the past. But at least the profile here, at least for what we've seen from the on paper stuff, that reading about this guy, I like this move. I think that there might be something to just an imposing force of a guy that can come up and just really work low in the zone, try to induce those weak contacts, especially low and outside, try to get people reaching and trying to really miss the solid part of the bat. How many times did we see Rockies pitchers, missing in the middle of the zone and get punished for it, right? So keep it low, keep the stuff, hard, and it's going to be a risk, right? If you're just piping, if you miss and you're throwing those hard fastballs, you might get tagged and you might have to deal with some extra base hits and some home runs, certainly. But I like the idea. I like the concept of a hard throwing bullpen arm that can live low in the zone and hit the gas button. And again, this is Rule 5 draft. This isn't the risk here isn't necessarily a big one. This is something that could see a bunch of potential upside here for this pick here. And here's a little bit more about him from Kyle Newman of the Denver Post. Petit is coming off a strong 2025 performance in which he posted a 2.71 ERA in 47 games that had 2 starts across AA and AAA. His selection indicates that Colorado sees him as a piece to its bullpen in 2026. He's capable of racking up strikeouts as he averaged 12.9 Ks per 9 in his 20 games in AAA last season and has a 10.4 strikeout rate in his minor league baseball career. That's what the Rockies need. The Rockies need guys that strike people out, especially in the bullpen. They need to be able to turn to guys that can come in and just strike people out. No nonsense, not nibbling outside of the zone, not looking to just weak contact and try to get there. The batter's eye is going to keep developing into, being these guys that are even better and better at the pitch selection. And the Rockies have had way too many issues with not being able to be aggressive in the zone and find success with strikeouts. So I think that this is a high upside move here. It's a righty. I think some people might have been looking for some more lefty options as the Rockies look to continue to bolster something they were really weak in that area. But on paper, I think that this will be a fun guy to watch here, especially if he can just come up and just throw some heat here and throw some smoke and get the strikeouts. That's really one of the things that I think will be one of the best improvements the Rockies pitching staff can have across the board. As it was mentioned this week here during the winter meetings that I can't remember if it was Dee Podesta or which member of the Rockies new front office here talks about the bullpen being a strength. And we did see the bullpen being a strength for this team, certainly, at times. And when you look at it and when you would say, what is the strength of the Rockies right now, it might not be the most, knock your socks off type thing, but you would say the bullpen is probably the best thing that the Rockies have all together as a unit here with the way the roster is constructed right now. So I think that this is I like the potential here. I like that this is I like the possibilities of strikeouts here, and I hope that this is going to be a pick that can break the cycle of Rule 5. Just a guy that can contribute, and I really hope he can. And that's a promising line. Maybe not a ton of games at the AAA level, but we're still talking about here. I really like that strikeout rate. I really like the fact 3.40 ERA over 5 minor league seasons, going back to Kyle Newman here. I mean, I think that there's some potential here. I think that there is some intrigue here and something that, like we said, a weakness for this Rockies team is strikeouts. And this can be a guy that hopefully can contribute here and break out. We got to hope that he can make the adjustment, right, to pitching to Coors. That's going to be the big challenge, the big question, the big issue that the new Rockies front office, new pitching staff, and new pitching coaching staff are going to be looking at. But this seems like a pretty good project to start with here, and a guy to bring into the organization. That wasn't the only Rule 5 draft pick that the Rockies used to add to the bullpen. And here it goes back to Kyle Newman here. With the top pick in the minor league phase of the draft, the Rockies selected Mets right-handed pitching prospect TJ Shook, a starter turned reliever in New York's organization. Shook had a 3.24 ERA in 33 AA games last season. Like Petit, Shook is also a high strikeout pitcher with 10.3 Ks per 9 in 5 major league seasons. Like that. I like targeting that. And hopefully that translates over there. But strikeouts. We've seen it, how impactful it can be on an offense when you're striking guys out, because we've watched the Rockies offense the past few seasons, and we've seen them completely struggle because they strike out and they strike out and they strike out. The Rockies need to build a bullpen that can come in and strike guys out, especially in close and high leverage situations, because of the fact that more often than not, you're going to be playing those games that when it gets close, you can't let it get out of hand. If you're fighting a back and forth battle and it's a 7-6 ball game at Coors Field and it's the 7th inning and it's been up and down and both teams are going back and forth, you need to be able to bring some people in that can shut it down, throw some smoke, and get those strikeouts. Miss the bats, get the strikeout, not just the relying on the defense, not inducing the weak contact. Have the strikeout guys in the mix, because there's too many times the Rockies, I think, have had the same pitching identity, and hopefully these two guys can come in and keep doing what they've been doing at the minor league level, because they're going to have a shot, right? I mean, when you're a young bullpen arm, you got a shot with the Rockies right now. This is your chance to show something, and I really hope that these guys turn into something good and something special for the Colorado Rockies here. It's the Rule 5 draft, hasn't done that. I think that's still that context is important to bring back, because it's not just because they have a high draft pick in this little mini draft or whatever, however you want to define it. It's not like it's going to immediately change everything. But I like the profiles here. I like the thought process. I like the analysis here. And I think to kind of put a cap on something that's interesting here, going back to Thomas Harding's piece here in that he has on MLB.com, because the Rockies have been late in fully adapting modern information tools, there is a natural emphasis on the fact that many of the new hires in the front office are well-versed in analytics. But Podesta noted that the leaders at their hearts are talent evaluators. You'll notice a lot of these people have a wide range of experience in different areas, Podesta said, but they have this foundation in evaluation, and whether that's with amateur players or pro players or advanced scouting work, that foundation is really important. It really is. The Rockies have to be better at their talent evaluation and their talent selection. And hopefully this is one of the first examples of this new regime evaluating talent and making a move. This move happened under the Podesta era, the Burns and Podesta era. So this is not a Bill Schmidt move. This is officially the moves being made and decisions being made from this new look Rockies front office. So that's an important little note there here as well, as this is going to be one of the first examples of them proving that the people that they're bringing in are solid talent evaluators. All right, let's talk about the Rockies adding to the front office. That wasn't the only move they made on Wednesday. Let's dive into all that and more coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Gametime. And the World Cup, it's coming back, and you want to be there. I mean, heck, I want to be there. So how are you going to get there? Well, good news. Gametime. Yes, Gametime. Gametime has you covered. Gametime. How many times have I told you that Gametime is the place you need to go to get the best deals on seats, and they're going to get you as close to the pitch as you want to be with their great deals. It puts the power in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. Pick a game, tap a section, and have your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for fine print. Prices include all fees up front, which I love. No last-second surprises at checkout, and they got the views from the seat, so you know exactly where you're sitting when you buy your tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go Gametime. We are also brought to you by Doer. And, it's one of my favorite days. It's Fresh Laundry Day because I get to pull out my favorite shirt, my Doer flannel. Right here. Yep. It's just fresh out the laundry. So I haven't gotten the chance to wear it again yet, but I'm going to be wearing it this week because it's my new favorite shirt. And what am I going to pair it with? Well, my new favorite pair of pants, my Doer jeans, because Doers denim and lifestyle apparel is engineered for movement and versatility. And when you're a guy like me who's on the go a lot, traveling, it is the best. Perfect travel outfit are my Doer flannel and jeans. They invented the original performance denim, and they give you the best of both worlds, combining classic jeans wear style with the kind of comfort and performance you get from athletic wear. It's time for you to experience the comfort of Doer. Pick up a pair for yourself or as an amazing holiday gift. Check out the Doer store right here in Denver, 2621 Larimer Street. Mention my promo code LOCKEDONDenver in store to get 15% off your first order, or check them out online, shopdoer.com/LockedOnDenver for 15% off. That's shopdoer.com/LockedOnDenver. Locked on Rockies, back with you all here for segment number 2 of today's Locked on Rockies podcast. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked on the #1 sports podcast network. And we got something cool going on for you here at the Locked on Podcast Network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked on Rockies with no interruptions, members only Discord access. We got our own Locked on Rockies channel, all for the Rockies talk, folks. And you can see it all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go on over to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer club to learn more. All right. Or just lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer. Both of those will work. You can check it out there. All right, folks, here's segment number 2. We're talking about the Rockies making another front office hire. And so what I think was fascinating about reacting to this hire versus the Paul DePodesta news was when the Paul DePodesta news broke, there was a lot of celebration from the Cleveland Browns fans that were saying, good riddance, see you later. And myself being hesitant and others being a little bit hesitant about the hiring of Paul DePodesta, given, the way the Browns were going, being out of baseball, there was all those concerns. And that's not, we're not, passing on all that stuff. I just thought it was fascinating when the Rockies made this move that the reception was, holy cow, the Mets have made a mistake. And Christian Sayas of DNVR Rockies posted this as well on Twitter, pointing out that this was a guy that the Mets were that was a huge help to the Mets, was a person that the Mets looked to as a strength. And the reaction here so far has been that this is a great move, a good pickup for the Rockies, adding in another solid, high-level, talented guy to this organization. So we head on over here to Purple Row and read from Evan Lang. Rockies to hire Tommy Tanos as assistant general manager. Tanos is a longtime executive for the New York Mets organization, first joining them in 2011. He most recently served as their vice president and special advisor to baseball operations under David Stearns. He also has an extensive background in both professional and amateur scouting, serving as the Mets scouting director from 2012 to 2016. He's also worked extensively with Paul DePodesta during the latter's time with the Mets under then general manager Sandy Alderson, where they worked together in coordinating the Mets draft. We're thrilled to have Tommy join our front office, DePodesta said in a press release. Tommy brings a wealth of knowledge in coaching, amateur scouting, pro scouting, international, and special assignment work from his time in baseball. And I'm looking forward to using his experience and rare ability to connect with people to help build organizational consistency across all levels of our operation. Prior to his time with the Mets, Tanos worked with the scouting departments for the Toronto Blue Jays, Texas Rangers, and Milwaukee Brewers. These are the type of baseball minds we wanted to bring in. These were the type of resumes that we were hoping for when we were talking about DePodesta in the beginning. And again, I'm not trying to use this as a thing to just throw lob shots at DePodesta here. That's not the point here. I'm just saying, since that move, the one we were wondering what type of people will DePodesta bring in, so far DePodesta seems to be bringing in people that have strong resumes and have strong reputations throughout the game of baseball, something the Rockies desperately need to improve. They need to be changing the way that people look and perceive them, and they need to be bringing in the people that can do this. Hey, bringing in people and all that stuff is great. Of course, we need to see this all pan out on the field and how this looks like in fixing the Rockies. Just hiring people and in this, the honeymoon, this early honeymoon phase and an off season where really all this news can be perceived as good news because of just how bad things were. It's nice to see the reactions for the Rockies moves here being positive. The DePodesta one had some question marks. There were people that were, of course, all about it. There were people hyping it up. But it's nice to see the continued impact of, hey, that's a good get. That's the right guy. These are guys that can come in and do stuff to change and fix and turn the organization around. And I hope that's the case because as we were talking about in segment number 1, I really do hope that this team becomes a very, 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 very good team at talent evaluation. I hope that they become a team that really know how to, that understands what works for them, what works in their environment, and how to maximize the potential of their players and how to see that ahead of time through that talent evaluation and scouting. And I sit here thinking that, hey, this is, I'm on board right here. Time will still tell. We still have to see what this actually pans out to be. We have to see this, again, the Rockies are going to stink in 2026. Let's be clear here. But if we see a pitching staff that strikes more people out, and these guys that were added through Rule 5 and these the people they shuffled around and were able and what they were able to unlock from Ryan Feltner, if they were able to show progress there and the offense takes steps forward because thanks to a healthy, Ezekiel Tovar and Hunter Goodman and Brenton Doyle, ? We'll talk about that in segment number 3. Hopefully this is the start of the positive momentum of the positive of things moving forward for the Colorado Rockies instead of backwards. And it's nice to see the reaction to the moves that the Rockies are making is ones that are saying this is a club moving forward. This is a club improving instead of what are they doing? Total Rockies move, classic Rockies. It certainly does feel like things might be changing at 20th and Blake. A lot of time and a lot of work until all that sets in, right? All right, let's talk about a couple of Rockies headlines to close things out. And we got a big show on Friday. I want to tell you about that coming up next. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible. And that includes FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. I mean, that's how it's felt with the Broncos all season, right? One drive, one snap, one moment can be the difference between not only a winner and a loss, but money in your pocket. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Why not add to the thrill of your fantasy football playoffs by picking some folks on your fantasy team and maybe choosing for them to score a touchdown, have big games, double bonus, big fantasy performance for you. Money in your pocket because you decided to take advantage of FanDuel's live betting. Because live betting is the best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Locked On Rockies here, segment number 3 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies, free and streaming, of course, on your favorite streaming services and on your YouTube channel. David says, I'll wait and see, but it seems like they're moving in the right direction. Go Rockies. David Cooper, so we had 2 Davids letting us know here. I'm going to base my rubric of evaluating DePodesta based on the following. With the new pitching philosophies, can we see improvement in Dolander's splits? Can he sign a first base veteran with trade value at the deadline that fills an immediate need and will help boost the farm later? What types of prospects will Doyle bring back? These player profiles may help us understand his intention for this team's identity. Yeah, I think that's a great point here, and I think we're going to be, it's maybe seeing that as the Rockies making some decisions about who to sign, who to bring in from the for free agents, or the types of guys they might trade for or try to acquire. So I think that's a good point here. Jim says, I found the following online and decided to share this. The average height for an MLB player is about 6'2". While this is average across all players, height can vary by position, with taller players often found in positions like pitcher, first base, and right field. Sounds like first base needs a tall player. Rockies prospect Charlie Condon is 6'6", and weighs around 216 pounds. Known for his powerful hitting and versatility, often playing first base or outfield for the Colorado Rockies organization. Rockies player Blaine Crim is 5'10", weighing 200 pounds, and plays first base for the team. Ohtani is 6'3". Freddie Freeman is 6'5". Maybe the Dodgers know something. Could be interesting. I mean, that it will be interesting, and I wonder how it'll pan out for Petit there as well. A lot of hype talk about the Colorado Rockies here. But some other headlines to keep in mind. Jimmy Herget is going to try to be a starter heading into spring. I honestly don't really mind it. He did have some stuff, and the Rockies are certainly looking for starting help. And with adding to the bullpen here, this freeing up a bullpen spot for one of these guys, and just if Jimmy's able to come in and have some success, as he was one of the better pitchers for the Colorado Rockies last year, more power to you. You got a guy in-house, in system that can add. I wonder what he looks like. How long can he go? What's the stamina like? That's one of my concerns there. And so that was just one of the headlines. And then, as we've talked about here, and as we've kind of hinted at here, Brenton Doyle is starting to get a little bit of action here when it comes to some interest. So there is interest between the Padres, Phillies, Mets, and Yankees have called. That'd be pretty crazy if the Rockies traded him to the Padres, right? I'm not certain I would ever believe them certain to trade within the division here, but that's a lot of teams that are going to be interesting, and widespread interest is certainly intriguing here. So we'll see if the Rockies end up making a move here with easily their most interesting trade piece right now. At this point, there is no more interesting trade piece for the Colorado Rockies than Brenton Doyle. So we'll see if that actually ends up changing. And I think, again, what does that type of haul bring? I think that was a good call from David. What does that look like? But all right, folks, before we go today, I want to let you know that tomorrow's show, we have a special guest. You might have seen there on the Yahoo Sports. We were talking about the inside look into the Rockies front office, and where, what's the actual reputation? What are they really like? Well, Jake Mintz there, senior writer for Yahoo Sports, half of Cespedes Family Barbecue. He looked into that, and he is going to be joining us on Friday to go inside the Rockies locker room and dive into, I'm sure he won't tell us who he spoke to, but kind of get some more insight into what people told him about the Rockies, who they are and who they have been, and if he believes that the Rockies are on the right track and moving in the right direction. So that's coming up on Friday. And folks, thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB with our guy Sully. And if you need more Colorado sports coverage, Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. And don't forget the Locked On Everydayer Club, lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer. Go check it out there. Folks, until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.